Hi, and welcome to this serving of What's in Your Cup. I'm Cheryl Farrell, your host. As a storytelling consultant to organizations, I'm passionate about the impact of stories to meet organizational goals. And that positive impact also applies to our personal relationships. Now, the cup is a metaphor for your story, what's inside. And it's not a willy nilly purging of your diary, it's strategic, it's purposeful. It inspires others to think and to feel. And then we find we are more alike than unalike, and that's where hope lives. So grab your cup as we hear from today's storyteller on What's in Your Cup. I'm delighted to introduce Cayce Lynch as today's What's in Your Cup storyteller. Cayce is the national managing partner at Tyson & Mendez, a civil litigation and defense law firm. As part of the strategic leadership team, she oversees nearly 500 employees working throughout the U.S. with their headquarters in San Diego, California. Her firm has made a name for itself by fighting outsized monetary jury verdicts. She and I met in 2022 when I gave the first of several storytelling sessions to Tyson & Mendez Associates. The Cayce I've come to know is a person with nuclear-sized compassion. And I use that analogy to describe her enormous generosity and her care for others. That includes care for her two young daughters that she shares with her husband, Michael. She's also a devoted daughter to her mother, who we will hear about soon. For now, I say thank you, Cayce, for being with us today. It's truly an honor.
Same for me, Cheryl. I'm so honored that you've opened up the recording for me to share your platform with me. And as we were preparing to have this conversation, you know, the core value of hope has been on my mind, and I'm just so excited to share this story with you, with your listeners today, and truly in hopes that it will bring hope to those who hear it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, hope is a theme that runs through it all. And we can have our corporate policies and our corporate personalities, but at the end of the day, it's people living through hope to meet their goals, business and personal. So, the way we do this in this next phase is that I have a lightning round. From my quiz show days, we reverse it. We're going to have it up front. So, I'm going to ask several quick questions. And in all fairness and all disclosure, you've had a chance to look at some of
I
those, but
have. I
whatever
have.
comes to mind in response. All right.
So excited.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
First question is, where were you born? Where do you live now? And where have you traveled between those two places?
So I was born in Dallas, Texas. I currently live in San Diego, California. In preparation for this conversation, I realized, oh, I've traveled to a lot of the states in the US. So I counted, I've traveled to 33 states.
Uh,
And so now I have a new bucket list item, actually realizing how I'm close to 50. This is, I could see that goal. That's
yeah,
going to be a new bucket list item for sure. All 50 states. I think I can do it. Um,
wonderful.
Outside the US, I've been to Mexico, England, France, Switzerland, Spain, Italy, my absolute favorite, Italy, then Cambodia and Thailand.
Second question, what is your favorite quote?
So I think as part of my personality, it is really difficult for me to pick a favorite. And in
Okay.
framing how to pick something, I've, with your encouragement, I've dug into what's been on my heart lately or what has made a significant impact on my life. And so there's a quote that's actually a Bible verse that has been on my heart lately. Psalm 8, 3 and 4. This is the New International Version. It says, when I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place, what is mankind that you are mindful of them, human beings that you care for them? And this came to mind. I had remembered this verse in recently reading Untethered Soul, which is a book about the consciousness and ways to really seek happiness in life, really just to boil it down. But it talks about the importance of perspective and how small we are as little specks in the entire universe. I am a tiny little dot on a map that is in the, Southern California, in the United States, in the world, on the earth, in a universe, in a galaxy that goes on forever and ever and ever. And the thing that wasn't written in the book yet struck me when I read it and tied me to this verse is, yet, even though I am this small, God created me. God knows me, God cares for me, and there is a plan and a path for me. And that brings so much comfort in moments of uncertainty, just to know that, yes, I am small, and yes, remember the perspective, but even among it all, God knows and cares for each of us.
Powerful. Oh my goodness. I am so inspired by that. I'm so moved by that.
I just violated the rule of lightning round by not giving a lightning answer. That
No,
was
I've given it extra duration just because of my impact. What are three words that best describe you?
I'll give you two. I have defined my core values as an individual, as a person, and they are authenticity and faith. And I aspire to have these words describe me.
That is wonderful. You live it and we receive it that way. That's how I see you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Next question. What academic achievements or honors are you most proud of?
Receiving my law degree, that was a very big moment for me and my family. I was the first person in my family to get a postdoctorate degree, and just all of the generations of love and support that went into getting me to that place where it was a milestone for me, and I'll never forget it. Um, on the awards front, early in my career, I want to say it was 2018, I won Businesswoman of the Year in San Diego, and I knew I was a finalist, but when they called my name on stage, I was very surprised. And so I don't think I'll ever forget that either.
That is certainly well deserved, but it is humbling when you're out there just doing your calling and it is recognized in this way. So congratulations
Thank you.
and thank you for sharing that. What is your favorite pastime?
Ooh, as you mentioned, I'm the mother of two young girls, so just spending time as a family, really the simple things right now. Finding little surprises that make their day, spending time swimming with them. We're coming into summertime right now, and it's just all about swimming. So, yeah, honestly, the really simple things in life, being
I can
together as a
appreciate
family.
that. I have two adult children, and I'm here to tell anyone and everyone listening that that time evaporates. So
Yes.
take care for every particular session. Now, I saw you on social media. I think you're on a surfboard,
Yeah.
and your babies are on the shore watching mommy on the
Yes.
surfboard. And they ended up, one of your daughters ended up on a surfboard, I believe. She took a
Mhm.
lesson.
So my oldest was old enough to go out, and so she was actually out in the water in the break with me, and she had an instructor. We made sure she was safe,
And tethered. I did
and
see.
yes, yes, all those great things. And then my 2-year-old was on the shore with daddy watching on, and when a big sister came back in, little sister had been watching, and she was very eager to just stand up on it, and
Oh,
have the
yes,
instructor just hold it still for her to
yes.
stand. So they both got a little taste of it. I got a, a little taste of it. It was a really, really fun experience, and about making you humble, bringing you back down to earth and trying something new like that. So I had a blast.
Wonderful. Great pastime, and I'm glad you're spending it with your family. Here's another question. What book, movie, or song would you recommend to younger women?
I wish I would have found Brene Brown earlier in life. Her research, her writing, I love listening to her either in audiobook or one of her TED Talks. She does a great interview with Oprah from a decade ago. Um, Her research on perfectionism, her research on shame, research, and then she speaks a lot about love and really how being imperfect is a gift and leaning into that. And I spent many years being extra hard on myself. I'm still a recovering perfectionist, but a lot of the ways that she explains it and frames it is, it makes sense from an intellectual standpoint, but the way she explains it just really touches your heart. If, it sounds like she's speaking to you. So for any young women out there, I highly recommend. And go find something by Brene Brown. She won't do you wrong.
I totally agree. She's so inspirational and she speaks to all generations.
Yes.
So we're almost to the end of our list here. Fill in the blank. My colleagues would be surprised to know that now I know you've heard this prompt in other sessions that we've had, and your colleagues know you very well, but is there still something that folk would be surprised to learn about you?
This is the part where they edit out the pauses. Um,
It's okay. And maybe that's telling. Maybe there is such a closeness that very little is a surprise. But I am finding the course of sharing our stories that someone's head will just kind of perk up a little bit, like, huh, I'm
yeah.
surprised to hear that. I didn't know that. Have there been any of those kind of moments?
I think honestly, the story I'm about to tell today
Okay.
is going to be new for most people. We're going to tell a story about my mother and when she was diagnosed with cancer. That was back in 2019. And the people that were in my closest circle knew about it then. But for the rest of my organization and my colleagues to hear about it today in 2025, that is definitely going to be new. It's not something I speak about often.
And thank you in advance for sharing the story and for being willing to surprise us in a
Thank
delightful way.
thank you.
Last and final question. What's in your cup? What's your favorite libation? What do you have?
Coffee, 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 and more coffee. So, um, drinking coffee with my dad at a young age was a really special thing we used to do together. And I'm still very lucky both of my parents are alive and well, and we're very close as a family, even though we live states apart. But anytime we're together as a family and my dad makes me a cup of coffee and the way that he makes it, because there's just
Oh, so
something
tell me
to
about
it.
this recipe. What is this?
It's just my dad, the way my dad pours it in and stirs it, it tastes different. Okay. You're gonna have to believe me. That just black coffee with agave and half.
Oh, okay.
And
That coffee
heavy,
with a side of
heavy, heavy agave and half. Let me be clear. We like our coffee to taste like dessert. But but
that's
so that's
wonderful.
still how I drink it to this day. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Coffee with the side of dad's love. All right, so
I know
here's
it.
cheers. Here's my cup. It's
Cheers.
hard to read, but it says a prayer for my sister. This was given to me by a
Oh,
friend, and
I
it's
love it.
based on a scripture that's printed on the inside. It says, I remember you always in my prayers, Romans 1:9.
Oh,
So
I
that's
love
my,
that.
and in my cup,
Cheers.
I'm very boring. It's water. I've got,
Oh,
I've
that's
got a little
okay.
raspy thing going on. So I've got water in my cup.
Okay. Mine is an actual cup that we had when I was growing up. And
Okay.
my mom went on and found, yeah, so I would actually drink out of this cup as a little kid. And as a Christmas gift one year, my mom found more of them on eBay and ordered them. And so we
I
have
love
one,
it.
I have one, my brother has one, and my parents have one. So now we all have the throwback to 88, let's say.
I love it. I those that what is it? A family that sips together stays together.
That's right.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to
I
it.
love it. I love it.
Thank you so much for sharing your lightning round responses. And now this is our centerpiece to our conversation. If you would share a story for our audience that is near and dear to your heart.
Yes. Thank you. So my mother and I are very close. She was 29 the year I was born, and she and my father waited a long time. I think they were married 10 or 11 years before they had me. And I was the first and oldest child. I am the first and oldest child. I have one younger brother who we are also very close. When I married in 2018 and was feeling very, very settled in my job, very, very settled in, settling into my marriage, my personal relationships. And about 6 months after we got married, my mom came to me and said, "So I just want to let you know that there's been an abnormality on my mammogram and we're going in for some additional tests. And I feel like I just need to tell you at this point." And I remember thinking when she told me this that I could tell that she was afraid and she was kind of scared. And but she was trying to stay calm, and do that motherly protective thing. So, within just about 10 days, I think after that initial conversation, she received her full diagnosis, which was stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. And Cheryl, you and I have been talking a long time about scheduling this conversation and telling a story of hope. And this is a wonderful story. The reason that I'm called to tell it is because I know several people in my first or second degree connections who are dealing with some really serious health issues right now. And I feel like people need a little story of hope. Um, and God's grace and the goodness of God and the advancements in medical technology and just every wonderful thing that we've experienced and the blessings we've received as a family. At the same time, what's incredible about today, this is incredibly unplanned, but it just so happens to be today, the day we're sitting here talking, the 6th anniversary of my mother's diagnosis.
Wow. Wow.
So I think that's a little sign that we're doing the right thing, and this is
It's
a
a big
story that needs to
sign.
be
It is.
told today.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
So um, when we received this news from where I sat, it's as if life stopped. It's as
Mm.
if the world stopped. All of a sudden, the things that caused me stress and worry and anxiety, primarily in my job, because I care so much about what we do here. But all of a sudden, they did not matter at all. It just went away. And all I could think about is how can I get to be with my mom right now? And so, all gratitude to my law firm, to Bob Tyson and Pat Mendez, our founding fathers, for giving me the space to really be there for my mom over the next 6 months to the year. Um, of course, I continued working as much as I could, but I made many, many trips to San Diego, excuse me, from San Diego to Denver, where she lived, to be with her for treatment. And my mom took such an inspirational approach to her treatment that I find I still draw from in a lot of ways. So she shared with me that she was overcome with anxiety and fear in the first weeks of settling into the news, and she could not sleep. So what she would do is sit up at night listening to praise music and crocheting or knitting or doing needlepoint to keep herself busy and singing along as she could. And the days as we were waiting for more and more answers, all of those initial visits and pieces of treatment after an initial huge diagnosis like that, um, really, you're on pins and needles waiting for that next little bit of information. And the thing I've learned about myself through all of this is that the way I cope with life-changing information like this and the unknown, and my fear is information. Like, I want to know, please give me every single bit of information there is, because if I know that there's a plan and I know what steps or we're going to take next, then I'm actually able to put one foot in front of the other. And I'm also really grateful that she has been open with me about her journey and her treatment, because that's allowed me, given me the knowledge to find peace in it too, and in the plan in it too. Um, so in those early days, she's not sleeping very much at all, bless her. I traveled to Denver from San Diego, and she decides that she is not going to look at the scan. She has initial PET scans and initial MRI. She said, I don't want to see the images because I don't want to know in my mind what it looks like. I just want to focus on getting better.
Wow.
And that's the bravery in that, that's brave to me, because I want to know everything like I just shared. And so in one of the early visits with her oncologist, she steps out of the room and gives the oncologist permission to show my father and I the scans. And so the initial diagnosis, the cancer started in her breast. It spread to her brain, her bones, her lungs, and her liver.
Oh, my.
There were so many tumors in her lungs that the oncologist told us he could not count them. They were innumerable. And that the immediate plan was that she needed to start treatment. So they put together a plan for her of radiology, a radiation on her brain, a series of treatment for that, and then a chemo treatment. And my first question in all of this was, well, aren't you going to have surgery? And the reality that I came to learn and understand is, and I had never dealt with, we've been blessed, we had never dealt with someone having a cancer diagnosis in the family before. So I was very ignorant to a lot of aspects of the disease and the treatment options. With stage 4 metastatic diagnosis, everyone's different, but for my mother, there was the scary reality that surgery would not make any difference. That the cancer was so prolific throughout her body that even to remove, do a double mastectomy would actually probably cause more harm because of the stress on your body that intense surgery and then potential reconstructive surgery takes. So we really just focused in those early months, and even to this day, it has remained true on treating the tumors themselves. So, I sat with her through getting her port, inserted surgically into her chest through those early um, chemo days. I sent you some pictures, Cheryl. I went with her to have her wig fitted as she lost her hair, um, and really witnessed what human strength with the grace of God looks like in action. The initial chemo treatments were very, very successful. The initial brain radiation was incredibly successful. And to this day, we've reached 6 years of since her diagnosis.
Wow.
There was a point there. So many times throughout this process, God's provided and taken care of us, and one of the pieces of divine really timing on everything was that she reached a point through her IV chemo treatments where the doctors thought they'd done all that they could do. And we were on a wait and see pattern to see the tumors were minimized, practically gone. And we were waiting to see kind of what would happen and how her body would respond. And the tumor started growing again. And in God's grace, the month before the doctors determined that there was that the tumors were growing again and she would need to change course of treatment, a new drug was approved by the FDA for this medication. And she was able to, before then, if it would have happened 2 months prior, if it would have happened a year prior, there would have been no second treatment to try. But God provided this new medication, right? And so it's a daily chemo pill that she has taken now for, I think, over 4 years.
Oh my
Um,
word.
and even in the last 4 years, more treatment has come out and more options have come out. And so when you read, I guess one thing that I would say for anyone who, if you've experienced this kind of diagnosis, if you have a loved one who has, don't read the statistics. Do
Mm,
not read the median life expectancy.
yes.
It's not going to help. It just terrifies you.
Yeah.
Um, and so, but my mother has blown out every statistic that's ever been
Wow.
documented on this journey. And
Mm,
it has been, you know, we've asked each other often. And I guess maybe she's more asked me, but she's asked me several times. And I think she's comfortable with me sharing this. Why me? And I said, you still have work to do.
yes.
And I
Yes.
think the first part is all of us sharing your story to
Yeah.
give hope to
Yeah.
those who are facing challenge mountains in front of them that they do not think they can climb.
Wow.
And the side effects are significant. You know, I don't want to paint, paste rainbow stickers over
Yes.
this tragedy. But the fact that she, and it really does come back to how strong she is. To be able to wake up every day and live with some very, very difficult side effects day in and day out and continue to take the medication because it keeps her alive and it keeps her with us.
Yeah.
Um, and again, that is God's strength. I truly believe it. We can't do it alone as humans.
That's good.
That's a divine power. Um,
I so agree.
fueling her through this, fueling the doctors, fueling the research to keep us all putting one foot in forward in front of the other. And I know there are a couple more little tidbits of all this I'd love to share, but I'm just reading your face as we're talking and I haven't taken a breath.
No, this is how this is supposed to work. I'm being careful not to interrupt you. So please
Okay.
share what you want to
Okay.
share. I'm full. I am uh singing praises internally.
I know it.
It's remarkable, but please feel free to continue.
Yes. So the one of the greatest blessings of her still being with us is that she has witnessed the birth of three grandbabies. These grandbabies live in other cities than she does and my father does. They travel. They are road warriors, and those frequent flyer miles have racked up. They recognize how hard it is to travel with young kids, and so they have been the ones to give us this gift of spending their time traveling and the energy traveling to be with us. And such a blessing that my two girls know her. My brother's son knows her, have incredible relationships with them. We prioritize being together at least twice a year if we can as a whole family. So, in addition to those little micro trips my parents take to visit each of us, we FaceTime often. And I just cannot imagine being a mother myself without having had my mother
Oh
to
my
help me along with it. And I know women do it every day. God gives us the strength, of course, but there's no words to express the blessing that it is to have her beside us and to be in close contact as we are.
yes. Oh my goodness. My goodness. What is your mom's name?
Her name is Melissa,
Melissa.
Melissa Ann.
Melissa Ann.
And so my oldest daughter is Laurel Ann. for
Yeah.
Melissa Ann, and her mother was Barbara Ann, and
Yes.
my dad's mother was Elizabeth Ann. So we have a lot of Anns there in that nod. And what's interesting is I need to share this. I don't think I've ever even told my mother this story, that I read this quite a while ago. So Melissa means honeybee in Greek. And so bees are an incredible symbol in our family, and little bee tea towels and bee jewelry, and we sprinkle the bees everywhere we can.
Yeah.
And I have to research if this is actually true because I read it on the internet. So who's to know if
Well,
it's
it has to
actually
be true.
true? Right? It must be true. It was on Instagram.
It's on Instagram.
Yeah. But apparently the honeybee is not supposed to be able to fly. Its body is so big and its wings are so small that the physics of it, the
Yes.
math of it, I'm clearly a lawyer, I'm not a scientist, like I'm using all the wrong words, but it is not supposed to be able to fly. And
Wow.
yet it does.
And yet it does.
And my mother was not supposed to still be with us, and yet she
Okay.
is.
I just got chills. Okay. Okay.
She's
The
flying,
honeybee. The
the
honeybee
honeybee.
that is
Oh,
flying today.
you know it.
I love
So the greatest things in my life cannot be explained by anything I could plan, a human can plan. Obviously, we can have goals, we can
yes.
work really, really hard. But when I step back and I look at the greatest things in my life, my marriage, my children, my job, like even
Yeah.
having my job is a story of grace and
Yes.
blessing,
Yes.
and my mother's health, and the fact that we've had these additional 6 years together, we
Yes.
humans could not have written that story
Wow.
and made it true.
Wow. This is remarkable. I have so many thoughts and emotions. I want to put in first that my middle name was Anne.
Oh,
So I'm feeling a connection in more ways than not.
yes.
I thank you so much. Uh, I cannot thank you enough for sharing this story.
And we still have to do our part.
Yes.
My mom still had to show up for her, say yes to treatments and show
Yes.
up for treatments and
Yes.
move through it. And I, still got on my airplanes and went and sat there with her by her side and held her hand as she did it.
Yes.
And success in business, yes, I do believe it's in a divine plan, but we still show up and we work very hard and we do all of those things. But there
Yes.
does come a point, I truly believe, where it is out of our hands. It's just up to us to take it to that point and then move forward in faith and hope.
Absolutely. And as I've shared in some of these storytelling sessions, looking at life as the story arc, whenever you have your beginning, your background, then you have this tension conflict, something is happening, and then there's this resolution. And the resolution isn't happily ever after and, skipping off into the sunset. It just means that whatever was happening before has been abated. And so, as we take all of these story arcs in our personal lives and our professional lives, and we come across a new situation, we can remember, oh, that's right, it resolves.
Mm.
It's not que sera, sera. And like I said, I'm just going to sit back and have my tie in a cup. I'm confident that if I do what I can do, that it will resolve and I'll be ready for the next. And just kind of in closing, I think one of the blessings in sharing this story, when it's appropriate, your daughters will see it and that they'll see that's the stuff my mommy is made of. That's the stuff my grandmother is made of. That whatever issues I'm dealing with at 14 or 15, they'll remember how you and your mom showed up and had faith and pressed forward. I
It's
just
my hope.
this is the gift of sharing our stories, I believe.
It is my hope. And it's also an important reminder for those of us when we're called to share our stories. or we have an opportunity to take it, in courage and in faith. It's an important reminder for me because as much as I would love to say, and then I lived in the present moment and I wasn't bogged down in my life these past 3 years by the other worries of the world or my job or the stress of becoming a new mother. No, I forget the perspective too.
Yeah.
I do. And I forget how many women and how many cancer diagnoses, excuse me, that's not the correct
No, no,
term.
no. Yeah, no.
How
There are
many
cancer
cancer
patients that are
patients? Thank
showing
you.
every day, and their
Yes.
stories have something in common, but have some other
Yes.
way that it works out.
Yeah. And even those who don't have this success story that my mother's had, I need to acknowledge the hundreds of thousands of people
Yes,
too who
yes,
don't get to experience this blessing. And just a reminder to all of us, be vigilant. Be
yes.
vigilant on your scans and your health because, we thank goodness we caught this just in time
Just in
to
time.
treat it. And so many, early detection, I think is the best course for everyone. So please go get your annual scans. I wore my pink for breast cancer awareness month
Thank you
today, but
so much.
and it's coming, and it'll be in October, but um anyway,
No,
yes.
we awareness is year round. They have to.
Awareness is every month. How about
Yeah,
that?
awareness is every month. Yeah, we don't have to just leave it for a
Go
particular.
get your annual scan. There we go.
Please. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Cayce Lynch. You are an amazing inspiration, courageous in sharing your story. You're just as generous on camera as you are in our
Thank you.
work relationships. And I'm just blessed for this opportunity. And I
Thank you,
hope
Shay.
others are inspired by
Thank you.
hearing your story and for cheering your mom, Melissa, on.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. Blessings to you.